I told this 4 years ago, and I used to be a lot more wound up in a dozer. I used to be very, very hands flying, hat flying, yelling at trucks all day. It says it's just fucking dirt.
What is going on, L&M family? Back again with a super awesome guest. Y'all know there was a time when I used to make fun of people who made friends on the internet. And now I made some super damn awesome people. And it happened to be on a call with the Crew Collaborative, which we might touch on a little bit today. And he is on the board of directors of Crew Collaborative. He came up by way of heavy equipment operator. So you already know we're going to be talking about construction stuff. He is the CEO of Tuoni Site Development, and his name is Mr. Tim Toonie. And you're going to get to know, you know what? I didn't even ask you how to pronounce your last name.
That was correct. Toonie.
Oh, success. Thank you, brother. All right, then y'all are going to get to know a little bit more about Tim. But first, this is your first time here. You're listening to the Learnings and Missteps podcast, where you get a front row seat to see how amazing people just like you are sharing their gifts and talents to leave the industry better than they found it. I'm Jesse, your selfish servant, and we are about to get to know Mr. Tim. Mr. Tim, how you doing, my friend?
I am doing good, sir. How are you?
Dude, I'm stoked if you can't tell. I got a little bit of energy. And I was kind of, I know Tim's out there. He's a baller. He's running his own business. There's a good chance that he may not be able to make it because sometimes it's that way in the industry. And so when you popped in, I'm like, oh yeah, it's go time, baby.
Oh, yeah. I'm always ready. Have my alarm
Tim,
set and forget.
I love it. So I like to start off with simple, easy questions, Mr. Tim. So you ready for just a softball?
Oh,
What are people missing about the construction industry?
the people.
Yeah? How do you mean?
I think there's a stigma of some of the people in the trades that I think everybody thinks a lot of people aren't. I don't know. I don't know the way to put it, but I think there's always a stigma that some of the people are kind of a-holes, kind of hard to work for. And I think there's more or less people aren't necessarily a-holes. There's just a standard that a lot of people
Ooh.
try to uphold. And I think that's just sometimes construed the wrong way where, whether you work for a company or you work for yourself, people want to put out a good product. And sometimes I think a lot of people who want to be pushed and want to be held to a standard don't have a problem working for those people, but it's the lazy people that don't want to be pushed and I don't think there's necessarily a ton of them, but the ones that do, that kind of are lazy, that get called out for it, they just want to say, oh, well, people are a-holes. And I think that's a very slim amount of people in our industry.
Yeah, 10-4, man. You said a couple things. One, standards, which connect to work ethic. And it is easy when you say that, it give me flashbacks. Amazing woman I was with, she's an educator, she's a teacher. And it was a group of us, were having dinner or something. And they were all teachers. I was the only construction guy there. And one of the guys was like, dude, are you mad? I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And again later, he's like, man, are you okay? Are you pissed off about something? I was like, no, what's going on? And the girlfriend at the time was like, oh, no, that's just the way he talks. And so I'm talking to and he was a cool dude. We're friends. I said, man, you are. He's like, man, he's like, you use aggressive language. And now I wasn't cussing a whole lot, right? So maybe a little more than normal, but it was interesting being in that setting, how just my normal way of communication came off as aggressive and angry because they're used to a different style or tone of communication. So that's one thing to your point about people in the industry, right? It's amazing. The people are awesome.
Yeah.
They're going to tell you how it is.
Mhm.
It's not that complicated. Let's just keep it the way it is. And also, there isn't a lot of room or tolerance for whiny lack of effort. Would you agree with that?
Oh yeah, because I mean, I think I've said it before, and especially when I worked on highways, if you're in a lane closure on a highway, you got 9, 10 hours to get something done. There's not a lot of time to put up with people's BS. You've got that short amount of time to get what you need accomplished before you got to pull that lane closure. So it's just, you got to get stuff done, and you don't have time for people's crap.
10-4. Now, I imagine when you were coming up, you had some pretty, at least one or two solid mentors that helped guide, maybe not the softest way, but they guided you and contributed to your path. Anybody stand out like that?
Oh yeah. I mean, the first people who taught me when I was back working in Pennsylvania, there was a few guys that were hard on me. One guy was Will Schwartz, but he taught me a lot of the good ways. And then coming to North Carolina, the guy I worked for when I first moved here, Josh Patterson, who I do a lot of sub work for now. And then I worked for a guy, I think a lot of people know him. He's got a YouTube channel, Chris Goons. That's
Yeah.
the 18. So working for him, he's got, I don't know how many YouTube subscribers. So when you have all his subscribers nickeling every little thing you do on camera every day, you learn a lot pretty quickly from people who aren't even your bosses. Every last little thing you do, they're going to tell you whether you did it wrong, whether you did it Chris's way and they don't agree with it, or whether you did it his way or whether you didn't do it, or you did it his way, but they don't agree with the way he does stuff. So then they're going to tell you stuff. So every little thing you do working on highways, they're going to tell you every last little thing you did wrong driving by. So it's always something that you didn't do right. But I think the good thing about construction is there is kind of a million ways to do. Well, there's not a million ways, but there's multiple ways to get a job done.
Yeah.
I think as long as you get the job done, it doesn't necessarily have to be, there's more than one way to skin a cat. And as long as you get the job done in kind of a timely manner, I think that's the most important thing, is the job gets done in a safe and timely manner. But there is more than one way to get the job done.
Yeah. Yeah, 10-4. And the critics, right? I love the critics. Come on, people. You ain't busted a great, but you're going to come out here and judge me. And then now with video and social media, I mean, I guess on one hand, it's awesome because you get exposure, right? They see you out there, your name reach on social media. But then, of course, you're going to have the critics are like, I wouldn't have done it that way. I don't know why you did it that way. It's like, bro, it breathe. I mean, code and approach to different types of work varies state to state, right? There's some place where that's illegal. It's like, it's illegal in Texas. I know, right? It's a different code system and people just don't know the damn difference.
Oh yeah.
Now,
Even like in my town right now, because I'm in the town Facebook group, and you have everybody complaining about the way stuff's done. And I always love to poke my head in there, and it's like, there's why are they flagging it this way or doing it this way? And I was like, well, they're working in a 4-way intersection. So, stuff takes time, and you're trying to get stuff done at a 4-way intersection. You may not see it. You think, oh, why does it take 10 minutes for them to let me go through? And it's like, well, when you're flagging,
yeah,
stuff takes time to get to that intersection and for you to actually see it. And then, but it is what it is. When you do stuff in
yeah.
front of the public, you're always going to hear about it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So when you got into the industry, was YouTube like a thing already, or were you in the industry pre-YouTube?
So YouTube was a thing. I would say it wasn't necessarily a big thing. It wasn't huge, but it was definitely prevalent. I would say, I guess it just depends on, it wasn't,
Like
everybody wasn't.
not everybody used it the way they do now.
No, but I mean, like I said, my buddy Chris, he started posting videos probably, I don't know, 2010 or sometime around then. So I
Yeah.
wasn't in the industry, but that was something I always thought about it doing. So that's kind of how I learned about it.
Ah,
Yeah, there's definitely more exposure in the industry now because of YouTube, social media, and that type of thing. So, but definitely gets more and more out there because of social media, I would say now.
I agree 100%. And so what was it like obviously you're operating your own business, heavy equipment business, which is a major thing that I want to get into because it's a heavy capital investment. But what was it that attracted you to decide, you know what, I'm gonna go into construction? Was it Chris's YouTube channel, or is it you got family in construction? How did you end up with all the awesome people over here in this industry?
I was kind of always the kid from, I guess, I mean, I don't exactly remember when I started. You kind of start remembering stuff as a kid, but 3, 4 years old, always looking at equipment and all that type of stuff. So 3, 4, 5, 6 years old, once you're starting to get into kindergarten, that was always what I was still wanting to learn about. Every time we kind of did something, I was always looking at equipment, driving down the road with my parents, even first, second grade, I'm always,
Oh,
so, I mean, that's kind of, I guess, where it started was just always thought equipment was cool, driving down the road. Even when you get into, I guess, the later grades, middle school, high school, I was still always that kid that wanted to do projects about equipment, about operators. I remember, like, even we had a class in our junior year of high school where I think it was called career development or something like that. And originally, the first thing I wanted to do some of the projects about was being an operator and stuff like that. Cause
nice.
I always thought equipment was cool, whether it was driving down the road, it's seeing different pictures of it online at different forums. And then, once there was some people starting to post on YouTube about being an operator, then you got to see it on video once the internet kind of became a bigger thing. So,
We need to do the L&M family member shout out. And this one goes out to Miss Maya McGlynn, who is the executive director of the Crew Collaborative. And she took the time to leave this awesome comment on one of the posts. And it was so flattering. I said, man, I got to do a shout on it. She says, Jesse, seeing you in action, I don't think you could have chosen a more appropriate business name and mission, Depth Builder. That's absolutely how you operate. Oh, Maya, thank you so much for that. And folks, she suffered me in person in Chicago at the Converge Construction Summit with another past guest, Miss Megan Shapiro. And so Maya was there and we did a bunch of workshops and we got to interact, got to meet in person for the very first time. So Maya, thank you very much. And folks, y'all already know I need attention. I love attention. So anytime you leave a comment, leave a review, share the post, drop some stars, it makes me feel important. And it gives me an excuse to shout you out in a future episode. Yeah. Okay. So when did you operate your first piece of equipment and what was it? Do you remember?
I guess so. The first time I was in a machine's cab, we were going to see my parents' house that they had bought, and it was in a neighborhood. So we were one of the first people to move in. So they were still building a lot of the houses. So they had talked the superintendent of the project into letting me in. The builder had a backhoe out there and he would go do different stuff with it. So we just kind of went around, scraped the road, and the site contractor still had a bunch of stuff on site. So I got to drive around and see stuff. It was early 2000. So it was probably a L model cat and stuff like that you saw. And the backhoe I was in, it was a Deere. So it was like probably a 310, like E model.
Yeah.
Like that. So that was probably the first one I was in. And then I worked for a guy, 8th grade and in high school, I guess, doing landscaping, and we worked in an oil refinery. So we used skid steers, stuff like that. So that was kind of my first introduction to it, I guess.
Oh man, was that like Disneyland? Well, I'm gonna drive around in these things.
Anytime I could get my way over to a machine, 4, 5, 6 years old, I always tried it. And then I remember even just my parents, they had to get their yard regraded shortly after the house was bought because it was holding water in the backyard. And it was a D5C cat dozer. So for I think the 2 or 3 days it was there, every day I went and just sat on the seat at the end of the day when my parents got home, and just thing wasn't going anywhere, key wasn't in it, but it was the coolest
You're in
thing in
it.
the world.
So you're a little bitty guy,
Oh,
dude. So
yeah,
it
there's
was
a picture
over.
somewhere, and I think it was all with all the neighborhood kids, and there was 7 or 8 of us, just me in the seat, everybody else just kinda piled around us, and we all just sat in it, but oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, major adventure. That is awesome. So you were like it was over. You were gonna be an operator. You were going to construct, like, period. I could see how that comes together. I think the first piece of equipment I remember operating is a skid steer, and the reason it was already I graduated high school, was working a summer job. The reason I remember it is because I didn't know how to operate it, and you know how when it starts jerking, and
Oh,
then you
yeah.
start sitting on the joystick. Man, I did that. I felt like somebody was just kicking me in the kidneys all for that whole hour or whatever it was that I was spilling backfill all over.
Oh, yeah. No, it
It was
was
tough. It
oh,
was a
yeah, I
good time.
mean, the first machine I ever did anything productive with was definitely a joystick skid steer, so it was a little easier to kinda learn on. I think it was plowing snow, so it was one of the cat
Okay.
earlier, like, B model cats, so that's kinda where I started to learn how to do everything. I kinda learned
Nice.
a lot with joysticks, so that was growing up playing video games, and then you go onto a mach where everything's on 2
Yes.
2 things pretty much, you can kinda learn pretty quick.
Oh, yeah. Yes, sir. So did you ever learn how to pop a wheelie and do a 360 on that skid steer?
So, I did eventually learn when I learned some of the hand and foot control ones because it's a lot easier on that. So, I did eventually teach myself how to do it, but I try to keep the hood rat stuff to a minimum. If I'm gonna have to kinda do something sketchy, I'd rather it be because it's something I gotta do productive.
Right.
So, I do think that's popping, like, I think it's Black Sheep Kid, I think, is the one guy. That
Yeah.
stuff cool, but try to also learn the kinda stuff where I'm gonna be doing it, whether
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
down the hill or doing something like that, so
No, no, I love the way you say try to keep the hood rat stuff to a minimum. I couldn't wait, man. I got on that thing and I'm like, let's see one guy, check this out. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna learn how to do that. So of course I wasn't supposed to be doing it, right? I didn't wasn't
yeah.
thinking about what happens if I tip over. I'm like, this just looks
Mhm.
cool. And so I would stay late, wait till the job site was clear, and then start jacking around. And finally, I got it up. Oh, I could do a wheelie. And then
Yep.
trying to get into that like that spin back now, like, man, I'm so lucky I didn't freaking doze through a damn trailer or hit the side of the building or flip over because that is hood rats. What is
Oh,
fun?
yeah. Yeah, no, definitely gotten lucky over the years, but
Yeah.
you
Yeah. I
learn
mean,
on
so I learned in the 90s, right? How to operate forklift, skid steer, excavator, backhoe. Backhoe was my favorite. I used to love jumping the ditches. I came up as a plumber, and
okay.
so I got pretty good at that. I laid it down on its side a couple times also. But anyways, with the side riggers, I could get back up real quick. You
Yeah.
just kind of figure it out. Now, I don't have one single certification that qualifies me to operate any of that equipment. I never got one. But there was a point in my career where it wasn't a big deal, and then all of a sudden it was. So how if somebody's interested that has the bug, right, of being an operator, what's the pathway? What suggestions would you have for them in terms of getting the experience and getting the certification? Because nowadays, I don't think you can get away with just saying, "Hey, I'll give it a shot," and they give you the keys and you pop in the cab. Or does that still happen? I don't know.
I mean, I like, in North Carolina, there's no set state standardized test or anything like that, so you're kinda going off of people's resume or what they say in an interview. I've
Yeah.
worked at companies where they go put you in a machine on the job site for 15 minutes and at least see if you're competent or something like that. But I mean, around here, everybody kind of knows everybody too. So I've had people call up on the jobs, like that one place where they tried you out, where when I got hired,
Yeah.
I people show up to run my machine, and I knew both two of the people I ended up knowing. So I mean, everybody kinda knows everybody, but it
Yeah.
also depends on what state you're in. I know there's some states where there is different testing, and then obviously where there's unions. North Carolina's not a very big union state, So where there's unions, there's getting into a union apprenticeship and all that stuff, which
Yeah.
I don't know much about that. So there is that. Cranes, there is a lot more
Oh
certification
yeah.
that I had no interest in ever really running cranes. As
Right.
the one meme goes, the hardest part of being a crane operator is finding a good place to take a nap. But yeah, the cranes, there is a lot more with that. But like I said, it's kind of like a state to state, even what part of your state you're in, as far as, I guess, what type of certifications you end up needing or anything like that.
Four. Well, good. It's good to know that it ain't all that stringent everywhere because it's kind of, well, we need a backhoe operator, but they need to be certified. It's like, okay, I got
Yep.
5 guys on the crew that I know can operate a backhoe. Where do we go to get the certification? Like all of a sudden somebody waved their magic wand. This was a long time ago. But to your point, in different areas, different regions, there are different limitations or laws or regulations. And also the training facilities to accommodate that, right? That's a whole other thing in and of itself. So you knew from the time you were in that big old dozer in the backyard, this is it. I'm doing this forever. What now? There's a big difference from operating equipment. There's a lot of hand-eye coordination, right? There's a lot of, you got to be focused, a lot of stuff going on. And starting a business. It seemed like that's what you did. You were operating equipment, and then you just said, I'm going to start my own business. What sparked that interest in you to go from expert operator to operator?
So there was a company where I grew up in Pennsylvania. They're pretty big in like the mid-Atlantic. It's Allen Myers. Something about that company just kind of always intrigued me. Their trucks were always spotless and all their trucks are black. All their machines were always clean. They were like, very proud of who they were. And I was actually able to visit them when I was in high school, go up to the company headquarters and stuff like that. So just kind of driving through their jobs one day, I just kind of had something in my head that I was going to have my name on the side of a machine one day. Was kind of talking to my one buddy Josh about it a decent amount because we were going up to the western part of North Carolina after the hurricane to try and fix stuff out there. And one day at work, I guess we technically hit a fiber line. We came up underneath of it.
Oh, yes.
We're like 6 times and found it where they had put their bore pit and pretty much spliced everything up like this, just laid it in the ground. So we came up underneath of it, set it down, didn't break it. And about a week and a half later, the safety guy decided to make a big example out of me and have a big supervisors meeting. And about 2 hours later, my buddy Josh texted me and goes, "Hey, you want to clear a house lot for me?" And I was like, "I don't know if I want to quit for one job." And he's like, "Well, I got some more if you want some after that." And looked at a job that Friday, gave my 2 weeks that Monday, and started figuring everything out.
So you just said, okay, here's an opportunity and let me go do it. I
I
mean,
was pretty much, I don't know if it'll happen again, so let's go for it and we'll make it happen, figure it out as we go.
man, that's what I tell you. You and I have a shared interest, not just coming from the trades and in the industry, but also advocating for careers in the industry. When I talk to parents and counselors specifically, I like to point out that one, because they think I'm fancy, right? Because I got my own little business over here. And I'm like, I'm just a dummy that they didn't say no to. I just figured it out, right? There's an opportunity. What's it going to take to make those things happen? And let's make it happen. Anyways, what I like to tell the counselors and parents out there is, look, yes, I started off as a plumbing apprentice. I was a helper. I was pushing a damn shovel for a lot of years, right? I had to work hard and all the things. But the skill set of getting a pile of information, a pile of material, and using my wherewithal to make something that's useful for others, I learned that skill in the trades that is directly applicable to building my business. What do you think of that? Do you think I'm full of it, or does that feel familiar?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think there's so many guys, whether you've been like operator or foreman or something like that, where you're doing something and something goes south or you run into like unexpected ground, and a lot of times you can't call on it like yeah, you can call an engineer to figure out a long-term solution, but you got 5, 10 minutes to try and figure something out to hopefully solve your problem. And we've had some spots. I remember there was working on the highway. We had a culvert and we fought for 2, 3 weeks to get this thing tied in on either side. They had a diversion going around it. We had everything done. We were waiting for the seeding crew to show up to put their matting down so we could pull the diversion ditch out. And the impervious dam they had built, it leaked a little bit. So we had to pump on the one side, but we could pump it into the diversion. So it was clean water to clean water. So it was going great. All of a sudden I look in there and I just see Ovaltine chocolate milk. And I'm like, shit, that's not good. So
Oh,
I look at what's coming through the old culvert towards the new one, and I just see a wall of water. And I'm like, shit. So I grab all the hoses, throw them out of there, throw them into our basin, turn 2 4-inch pumps on as quick as I can, and they couldn't even keep up. And I
oh.
filled the basin up in probably 7 minutes.
Hey,
And I go across the other end of the highway, and the boring crew had smoked a 12-inch water main that
oh,
was marked. It was marked in the other bore, and or it was marked in the other gore. It wasn't, so they were 300 feet off with their mark. And
ooh,
so I go and I pull back in there, and the erosion inspector from the state's there with the CD crew, and I just looked at him, had to look at him because I was like, Dibby, what do you want me to do, man? He goes, and I'd say we had to wait and then you have to figure out a plan because I couldn't tie that in, send me
yeah.
back like, but you're always just kind of thinking on your feet, and it's like, what can you do to try and avert a disaster? And then if not, try and talk your way out of it half the time.
Truth, man. I think, yeah, that's it, right? We're faced with so many, and it's interesting because I remember I had a few apprentices, very few, coming up that or even journeymen that stand out in my head. There's two that I'm thinking of right now. Use a kitchen sink. Everybody understands what a kitchen sink is, right? You got the handles, the water, the faucet. There are hundreds of variations of a freaking sink faucet, right? There's fancy ones, some have sprayers, whatever. I have not installed every single variation of a damn faucet. I've installed, let's say, one when I was an apprentice. And that's enough knowledge for me to figure out how to do all the other future variations, right? You just kind of, okay, something similar. And I've worked with a few people in the industry that they couldn't figure it out. If they didn't have, and I think this is a good thing, I just don't appreciate it. Like if they didn't have the instructions and all the instructions were precise step by step, they couldn't do it. I'm the other way around where the instructions like, oh, this is good because my hands are kind of dirty and I need to wipe them with something. And then I just figure out and put the thing together. Now, outside of construction, I meet a lot of people that the steps aren't all lined out, they're like, how do you know? How do you know what to do? They can just figure it out.
Yeah.
I don't know how to articulate what that is, but it sounds like it's the same thing you're talking about. We get faced with these kinds of things, and it's like, there's no class on what to do when you freaking bore into a water main line. You just do whatever you have available, use all the resources you got, get it as good as you can get it. And then sometimes it's, damn it, we're in a bad spot. Pause, readjust, reassess, and then make it up on the next day.
Yeah, I mean, we run into guys all the time that they'll complain about what equipment they have, and I'm like, you know what? It's what you got. If I'm working for somebody else and that's what I was given, make it happen somehow.
That's it.
So
Oh man, I love that. That reminds me of a saying I heard. Having access to resources doesn't matter if you're not resourceful, right? And so, right, all the resources in the world don't matter if that individual is not resourceful, if they don't know how to leverage whatever they have. So if it's an old beat up piece of equipment, it's a brand new one with an air conditioned cab. Come on, man. The job is to dig the thing or move the dirt. Move the dirt. Both of them will move.
you can have $5 million in dirt equipment. If you can't move dirt efficiently, it doesn't really matter. Yeah.
I used to play softball a lot. And I'd have big tournaments every side, be at big tournaments, traveling or here locally, and just the local tournaments. And there was always the one or two guys that would show up with wristbands and headbands and bat bags. And they had like all the flashy gear looking to get picked up on a team. And then you put them in. It's like, man, what happened to Spider-Man over here? He's got all the gear, but he can't, he just don't have game.
Yeah. I've been with people who got, you golf with people like that, and they'll claim to be this handicap, and then you get out there and you're just like, all right, man,
No.
like, I already told you I suck, so I don't know what you're impressed today, but
I ain't told the truth. You tried to hide it.
oh
Uh,
yeah.
so along the way, I'm assuming you've built a ton of skills. And so specifically transition into business operator, owner operator of your business there. What are some of the skills that you had to learn that you absolutely did not expect you were going to have to learn to run your business?
I would say, I don't know if it's necessarily that I didn't expect to learn, but it definitely has saved me some money, is like starting working for other people, kind of picking up on like being somewhat of a mechanic to where I can do some basic stuff, not having to get a $500 service call for every last little thing you need, like an oil change. I mean,
Yeah.
today we swapped the cutting edge on the dozer, did the teeth on the excavator, swapping hydraulic hoses, even something like basic. A week or two ago, the keeper bolt that keeps the pin for our thumb on, it had been folded up for 2-3 months, and it walked out. So it fell down on him at one point. So even something like that, just getting that line back up, and if you're just standing around there waiting for somebody to come do it for you. So I guess you really don't think about that, but it's when you can save yourself $500-$600, even once or
And
twice
half
a
a
month.
day.
Yeah, and lost production, especially when you have a few people standing around,
Oh,
or
yeah.
have on-road trucks running at 110, $120 an hour that are now just sitting there. So that was one thing that's definitely been, I guess, beneficial that I didn't think would be as useful. I mean, marketing, obviously you think about that, but now, like obviously to get your name out there, but even like with the social media stuff, and I guess trying to figure out the best ways to market to where I don't have to pay as many people to do it, or keep that as
Yeah.
like a low budget of an item as possible, especially when I was starting out, just getting my name out there, trying to figure that out. I mean, I, th- I think I had a good expectation of what I was getting into, but you find stuff that you figure out how to do on your own that can save you the money. I guess
Yeah.
that's kind of what I've learned more, is the stuff that saved me money is kind of what I've tried to teach myself to do. And the
Yeah.
stuff I'm not good at or don't have the time for, I have other people do for me.
Oh man, that right there is gold. So folks, for the L&M family members out there, there's two big giant resources, time and money. And if you don't have a lot of money, you probably got some time. So learn the skill that you can't pay for. Like you can either buy it or build it. Like you mentioned marketing. I started my little consulting this here just over 4 years ago. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, Tim. I just knew that I had to start my own business to do stuff that I found meaningful and impactful to me. And I remember one of my former bosses, kind of mentor, he's like, all right, man, like you're always that kind of guy. I could tell you were going to go do some crazy. Yeah. He said, so what's your business development plan? I was like, what the hell is that? They're like, what about that? Anyways, I started learning about, I got a market. I got to let people know I got a business. That's the
Yeah.
easiest way I think about it. And then I said, you know what? Once I got everything set up, the LLC, and started getting business, I had to learn how to do an invoice. I never did that before, but YouTube, right? Just YouTube. Oh,
Oh,
okay. I could do that. Done, handled. So I said, you know what? I'm going to learn how to learn everything there is to know about marketing. And I spend about, again, let's say about 8 solid hours of just what is marketing? What is it all comprised of? And I was like, oh, damn, this is a lot.
yeah.
Way more that like advertising, branding, email sequences, like all just massive. And I said, okay, I know what's going to happen for me to learn this. I can do it and I'm going to suck at it for a long time. before I get half decent at just one of those things. It's gonna be 10 years until I get half decent at like all of it.
Oh my gosh.
And so I said, you know what? I need to pay somebody to help me with this because I don't know, like to just to flatten the learning curve. But
Yeah.
then there's other things. Is, you know what? I like editing videos and shit. Like I learned how to do that. I could do
Mhm.
that.
Yeah.
Now, marketing and the copywriting and all the other crowd, like whatever, man, y'all do that. I'm just gonna come and flap my gums for a little bit and do the editing, and we're gonna be good.
Yep.
Um, so so I'm assuming you've started leveraging social media to get your reach out there and let people know, hey man, we got our thing going on over here. If you are a leader in construction, I need you to listen up, like for real, for real. There's a group of like-minded leaders coming together to share their experience and their knowledge, form like deep connections with other top-notch leaders in the industry, and become better leaders themselves. All of this for the purpose of leaving the construction industry better than we found it. And guess what? You are invited. So find the link or drop community in the chat so we can get you hooked up with the Construction Leadership Lab.
Yeah. I mean, I try to post on the company page most days. And then, I mean, at least if I don't, I make sure to try and post on LinkedIn every day from the company. And then I'm also just kind of, I look at everybody who views the company page or views my page. I'll look at who they work for, or if they add me and it says project manager at so and so or whatever. I'll go look up that company, see where they do work at, and then just try and message that person, but also fill out like the vendor portal online for people like that. Try and just
Okay.
trace anything that way, and then just try and see what type of work they do. And if it's a larger company, say, hey, we can come help you on, y'all might want to do some of this bigger stuff, but hey, if you need some greenway trails done or pickleball courts or stuff you don't feel like sending a crew back for, give them stuff that you kind of see that they need, or even like stuff you may see that they post and say, oh, well, they're kind of still, hey, I see their sediment ponds could use maintenance. Hey, we do sediment pond maintenance and stuff like that. And just try and get your foot in with different things like that. So, just try and think a little, I guess, outside of the box, because there's all the old companies around here. Everybody knows the big names. So to try and get your name in the door to kind of show what sets you apart from those other companies, you just have to kind of get creative with it and just
Yeah.
try to figure out what works best. And it's not going to work the same for me trying to get in with company A, and company B is something else is going to work with them, which something else is going to work for company C. And so you just got to keep going at it. I
Yeah.
tell my Rome wasn't built in a day. So
Yes. Oh, Tim, you just
even
dropped
though, but I'm
gold.
terrible. I have to remind myself though, because I'm terrible. I compare myself to other people who I know, who I'm friends with. I'll look at their company and I'll forget. I'll be like, because time flies, and I'll be like, man, I should be further along where I'm at. So and so's already here, and then I'm like, oh shit, they're in year 7, and I'm like in my first year, so I'm probably not doing as bad as I think. But then I just try to stay in that mind. Then I'm like, all right, I got time, I'll get there. And then 2 days later, I'm back to trying to push to get further quicker. But
Yeah.
you just tell yourself Rome or America wasn't built in a day. So
10
what I can
4.
do.
Yeah. Yeah. No, man. So there's two big things. So L&M family, if you didn't catch that, what I heard you say, Tim, so correct me wherever I mess up. On LinkedIn, you post on the company page with the high frequency. Sounds like the goal is every day. And I'm looking at it right now. You got pictures of work happening, which of course is awesome, right? That's one thing that I need to do better at is when the rare occasion that I'm out on a job site, take some damn pictures because people go crazy over them. And it's hard because I'm a house cat now, right? I'm
Yeah.
mostly I'm a freaking office dweller. I don't really get out in the field, but when I do, I should take pictures. Anyways, so you post, people engage, and you go and see who engaged, do some research, find out who they work for, where they work at, send them a DM and say, hey man, whatever, thanks for engaging, da, 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 da. This is what we do. get on their portal as a vendor, fill out the information, and just let them know, hey, thanks for engaging. And we're open to serve you if you ever need any of our services, even something small. We're happy to help you out with that. Did I get that right?
Yep. Just kind of
Anybody can do that.
anybody can make a
Anybody.
and yeah, it's not. I mean, it's doing your research on just because there's not like what I do is not. I can't put up door hangers and go or send you stuff like that. There's
Right.
some door hangers are great for some industries, but for us, it's not really. If I go into a subdivision, nobody really needs a 210 excavator in there. The most thing they might need is a dingo for half a day for a little grading job, and so
Right.
that doesn't really put me in front of the people that I want to be in front of. So, and that's one good way to put me in front of them. And then you can kind of also figure out where some of the like home builders are building, go drive out to the job, try and meet the superintendent or PM out there, give them a card, or worst case, leave a card in the job trailer if nobody's out there that day. So you just gotta, like I said, get creative because if you're new into it, you're competing against companies that have been around 50, 100 years.
Yeah.
So especially if you're trying to get into some of the bigger stuff, you're gonna
Right.
you're gonna compete against some people, and you've got to figure out a way to, because you could do great work, but you still got to get your foot in that door somehow, and
You're
you got to have to figure out some creative way to do it.
Yes, yes. No, man, I love it because I mean, that's work, but it's not like you need a marketing agency to do that. Anybody can do that. Yeah, I've had conversation with people often. Man, it's just so hard. I don't want to be a slave to the algorithm stuff, dude. I get it. It's not that hard. I would love it. I'm sure you would too, Tim. If every time I posted, I would get a client.
Mm-hmm.
So if that doesn't happen, every now and then I'll have a post that somebody say, hey, man, I saw this thing. We're looking for somebody. We need some time management over here. Yes. But most of the time it takes a lot more effort on the back end. And it's like the post is just a good excuse for me to reach out to that person. Oh, you're interested in this. Let's connect. And then, like you said, just let me introduce myself. And if I could serve you, I'm happy to, and then move on to the next one. It would be nice if everybody, I mean, I think you said you said, if you have a great service and great company, it don't matter if nobody knows about it. You gotta help people
Mm-hmm.
know you.
Yep. Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so awesome. I love it, man. Props to you. I think, what's exciting, Tim, is knowing that you're doing this. You came up the trades, equipment operator, started your own business, figured out, being creative about getting your name out there to get business and serve people out there. You have high work ethic, high integrity, and you also volunteer and give time to the crew collaborative. So where did that come from? Did somebody have some video or pictures of you that they said, hey, you better volunteer over here, or we're going to show everybody these pictures? Or like, is it blackmail?
I think originally, like right when I think originally it was just Christina put out something about a classroom talk. Like, I don't know, it was 4 years ago, maybe. I'd have to even ask her. It's been a minute, but it may have even been further back than that. But I just remember her posting something about it, and I was like, that would be cool. Because I just remember going back when I was in high school, we kind of got discouraged from going into the trade side of things. So I was like,
Yep.
it'd be cool to at least get in front of kids. I was an operator at the time, so I did it
Oh,
from my
wow.
voltage cab and showed them from working on the side of a highway. So that just was kind of where it started. I always just thought the classroom talks were cool, which
Yeah.
got me into it. And then Zach Taylor one day just messaged me. It's bad. I think it was right before Con Expo this year. He was like, hey, we were talking about something on the board, getting new people on the board, and your name came up. Would you be interested? And I was like, yeah, sure, why not? Didn't really think of myself as a board member, but yeah, here we are. So, but yeah, no, I just thought it was a cool group and idea that really needed to be done because, like I said, when I was in high school, you were always kind of steered away from it, I guess. Even like we had a VOTech school that was like attached to our high school where like kids would go, I think for half a day, and then they would come back and do the rest of their classes. And that was always kind of discouraged upon per se.
Yeah.
It was always just for the kids who were always in trouble and stuff like that. Hey, just go there. Where I think is, I know a good amount of people who went to college and that are now doing trade jobs and doing the
Yeah.
physical work, not just like like doing the actual labor jobs. And so I think a lot of kids my age, if you would have brought them back and told them what they know, they probably would have maybe made a different choice. Not saying it was wrong, but just I think if they would have realized what was out there. So just putting that out in front of kids, I think is that there is more than one pathway to college. Because I went to college for 2 years and it wasn't my thing. I usually just didn't go to class. I just taught myself before the test enough to pass the test. And then but
Yeah.
after I was like, why am I spending $20,000 for out of state tuition? Because I was from PA going to school in North Carolina. So why am I wasting money? So, and really wasn't learning what I wanted. We were learning more about vertical construction, and I was like, I want to move dirt, put pipe in the ground, and build highways, and that's not what I'm learning about. So,
Yeah.
dang, that's for all my
Thanks.
buddies that I'm still really good friends with and see all the time now. But that's about the best thing I got out of college per se. And I guess, and a little bit, I guess, thinking on your own of, hey, I'm wasting some money, and maybe I should make some better decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. Good for you, man. And so one, applause to you for all the things you've done and accomplished and giving back. I think you know it. There's so many people. Here's my favorite, because I hear it a lot. There ain't enough people. Nobody wants to come to the industry. Wow. Okay, when's the last time you talked to a group of high school kids or middle school kids? Well, I don't have time for that. Okay. So you get piss and moan that we ain't got people coming, but you ain't gonna bust a grape to get out there and get involved and get in front of these kids. You don't get to complain. You're part of the damn problem. So you're running your business. I'm sure you got people, hundreds of thousands of dollars out there every day. And while you're on these calls with these kids, I run one of the calls with you. My point in saying all of that is it's possible. People just got to have a little bit of give a damn and contribute the time to make that connection. Cause I know I was in the similar boat, man. It was graduate, you either go to college or flip burgers and maybe join the military, right? Those were the options.
Your three options, really, yeah.
Yep. Nobody said anything about construction. Now, my dad's a plumber and I'd done side work with him in the summers and stuff. And I knew I didn't want to do residential construction because I just have flashbacks of my dad yelling at me all the time. So I didn't know what was available. And then I got a summer job on a commercial job site to save money to pay for tuition. Oh, no, to pay for room and board because I had my tuition covered and try to be a walk-on at Tyler Junior College. And man, I'm going to tell you that first day I walked on that job site, I was like, oh, this is where I belong.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a nerd boy, right? School was easy.
Yeah.
But I always got in trouble because I was loud and my energy, I couldn't sit down. And like the teacher was going like, man, teacher, speed up. What we got to do? You can't run. Man, it's not my fault they're dumb. Come on, man. He's wanting, give me the test. I'm ready to go. So the classroom is where I felt inferior because I would get in trouble for the things that were natural to me.
Yeah.
I went on that side, Tim, and nobody gave a shit about how loud I was, about how much I wanted more. They gave me more. Oh, you think you can do more? Well, here, you take this on me. Here, try this and try. Like, shit, give it to me. And so for me, it's a thing that I've got a lot of friends over the years that have came back, even reached out to me and said, hey man, I've done this career corporate thing and it sucks. Can you give me a job in the trail? Like, hell yeah, I can. Let's make some calls and they're having fun. Anyways, for me, it's a question of one, we got to let people know that there's options and yes, you're going to sweat a little bit, but you'll be okay. You'll survive. But more importantly is like, we got to stop pushing kids into environments that aren't designed to help them grow, right? Like I have a brother who's a year younger than me. Construction is not his game. He likes the structure and the classroom and the rules and like he thrives in that. He
Yeah.
don't need to be on job sites.
I'll say I think everybody in this world has their place to do something to be a productive member of society. Whether you're building something, whether you're cooking something, whether you're a doctor. I could never sit in an office for 10 hours a day. I would go absolutely nuts. So I think everybody has their role, and obviously not everybody chooses to be a productive member of society, but I think there's something that your personality, your skill set, your you fits into to where you work and be a productive
Yeah.
contributing member to our society. So not everybody's gonna do good in 90-degree heat with machines flying around everywhere and trucks flying and all that type of stuff. And I don't think it's right to necessarily tell someone, hey, you need to do that. Just like I
Right.
don't think it's right to tell people, hey, you need to go to college and go work, but 9 to 5 shirt and tie job when like the classroom wasn't for you. It really
Yep.
wasn't for some of the classes were for me, but my big thing was like, why am I solving for X? What is X? Like, I don't mind doing, I am very good at math, but like calculus and that type of stuff, why am I using this? If I didn't have a why and like I couldn't see it in front of me, I just didn't really, I was just like, why am I doing this? I'll do it good enough to pass the test so I don't get hollered at by mom and dad. But outside of that, I really don't want to be here. There's much better things I think I could be doing. So, but
Yes. Yes. Oh man, I love that. And yeah, like there's a place for everybody, man. You said it's beautiful and it's 100% true. So I'm looking forward to being on some more of them crew talks with them
oh yeah,
youngsters out there because those are fun, man. I like doing that
oh yeah,
stuff.
they're good.
Okay, so we're fixing to transition into the closing question, Tim. But before that, where do we send people if they want to connect with you, learn about equipment operating, learn about moving dirt, learn about your company? Where's the best place to send them?
So my LinkedIn is Timothy Toonie, Tuoni. The company is Tuoni Site Development LLC. That's on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Instagram. And then my Instagram name is a little obnoxious. Just type in my last name and then put a bunch of SIs after it. I think there's 11 of them. That's a story for another day. I never thought Instagram would honestly be kind of important in my life. Not necessarily. I'll tell the story real quick. So it started way back when going to ECU. We came back from the bars, overserved one night, and one of my buddies said something about a grilled cheese.
Hold on, right? It wasn't your fault. It was their fault.
We were going out on $20 a night back then and coming back having a good night. So we were doing good. But he said something about a grilled cheeses, and we all kind of gave him crap for it, or for the couple of SIs on the end, and everybody just called me by my last name before that. So then he called me Tunis, so I just kind of went with it. And when I made an Instagram, I was not big on taking pictures, thought it was the dumbest thing in the world. So I was like, I'll just make my name obnoxious. Never changed it after that. And then I started meeting all these people, still hadn't changed it. I was like, you know what? I'm committed to the stupidity at this point, so let's ride with it.
That's a great story. You gotta have you recorded that story and post it? You need to make that's a post all by itself. That's a good story.
I've told some people, like people who have asked me about it, like where it came from, I've told them that story. And then before Instagram had your email attached to it and you had to remember it when you got a new phone, that's how I knew there was a size, I think, because I had to count the ones.
So you just kept adding it.
Like the first time I did it, I just spammed SI back and forth really quick until I just stopped and then never thought nothing of it. And then here we are like 12, 13 years later, and I've met some great people because of it. It's afforded me a lot of cool opportunities, but yeah, my name's a little obnoxious on there, but it is what it is at this point.
I'll make sure we have the links and stuff so in the show notes so people can connect with you and follow you. And yes, I'm looking at it now. There's a lot of SIs in here. You don't have to type all of them. Just type a bunch of them and
Yeah.
it'll pull them.
Personally, you should get.
All right. So are you ready for the grand slam closing question, Tim?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm excited because I don't know if you probably hear this a lot, but you have a very calm, humble demeanor, but you've accomplished a lot in a relatively fast pace from my perspective. And you've got a lot going on. You got a business, you're growing it, you're learning things, you're giving back. And so because of all of those things, there's a lot of depth to you, man. And because of that, I feel like your answer to this question is going to be one of those things that's going to stick to people's ribs and help them in a big way. So here's the question. What is the promise you are intended to be?
Is the promise you are intended to be? So I have, and this is in my truck. It's written on a label maker, and I think it ties back to what you should be. And can I curse?
Yes.
Okay. So and I got told this when he said the calm demeanor thing. I got told this 4 years ago, and I used to be a lot more wound up in a dozer. I used to be very, very hands flying, hat flying, yelling at trucks all day. It says it's just fucking dirt. And you could take anything, it's just fucking pipe. But when you remember that of what you're doing, yeah, what we do is important, but it's just fucking dirt. There's a lot more important things to me, to the people around me. And I think if you remember that and let people be with their kids if they work for you, realize sometimes when we went out to the mountains when Hurricane Helene kind of leveled that place, you kind of realize the value of some stuff when people fucking lost everything and you're complaining about something small at work, or that's kind of whatever. It's just fucking dirt. And there's bigger things in this world than what you do at work. And I think if you apply that to when something goes wrong at work, when somebody says, hey, I got to go, my wife's X, Y, or Z or whatever. I think if you kind of take that and you promise yourself that it'll always just be fucking dirt. And whether it's you work for yourself, you work for a company, you're just a supervisor or whatever, and just kind of, and I think another one that'll kind of go with that is, I always told this, you're never above the shovel.
I
had said that on the Dirty and Driven podcast, I think a few years ago. But just remember that you're never above doing anybody's job. If you're the owner, if you're the foreman, you should be just as dirty as your people. I think that gets you a lot further.
Yeah.
So you promise yourself, that's kind of your promises. It's just dirt, and you remember that and take that into all your decisions. I think that'll kind of promise that you leave the industry better than where you started it. And if you remember you're never above a shovel, somebody might be struggling through their first day and they might remember you down there in the mud with them. Whatever. Just, I don't know if that's the roundabout answer to wait for a question, but
dude,
that's the C student answer to the question.
Dude, gangsta. That's what I say. That's a gangsta answer. It's just fucking dirt and you're never above a shovel. That's some fundamental principles that'll help you lower your stress and really have perspective on what really freaking matters, man. Straight up, dude. That was the shovel thing. I remember my dad, like I said, he's a plumber. And I was telling him, man, I can't wait till I get my journeyman license. He's like, wow, why are you so excited about that? And I was like, because then I won't have to touch the shovel anymore. My helpers will do it. And he grabbed the shovel. He said, man, this is your number one best tool. You will never, if you think that way, you are not going to be any type of damn plumber that's going to last worth a damn. I was like, what are you talking? Like, what? And fast forward to now, over 30 years, right? You're not above a shovel. And there's not a single job I've ever been on that didn't need a shovel.
I mean, I had a guy who works for me when I was at Flatiron. I mean, he's got to be at least 10 years older than me. And he said, man, I never had a foreman come and shovel my tracks for me at the end of the day when I was just parking up. And I was like, I was just kind of, yeah, whatever, no big deal. But anytime I ever asked them to do anything and it was, well, hey, Dave, I need you to go run this machine today. And, or, hey, I always go, hey, I know this is going to suck, but
Right.
we got a BS test today. So, me and you got to figure this one out.
Oh,
And he'd always laugh and say, oh, shit, here we go again. But
yeah.
doing that kind of stuff, I think when you have somebody, when you get put in that spot where you need somebody to go do a tough job or a shitty job, and it's not less. He always ran Dozier for me, but some of the times I needed to put him in an excavator, and he was damn good in one.
Yeah.
And if there was sometimes I really needed somebody to go in the mud or grate some mud or something like that, and hey, you need to do it in one shot. Hey, David,
Yeah.
he needed to get an excavator today, and he would go and
Yep.
do it.
Yeah.
And I think just if you get that mindset, people are a lot more willing to do stuff to help you out that may not necessarily be their job per se.
Yeah, man. No, it's solid. Solid advice. Mr. Tim, did you have fun?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
10-4. Me too, man. Good times.
Before you go, I want to thank you for spending part of your day with me. Your time and attention mean a ton, and it's because of listeners like you that this podcast even exists. If you enjoyed today's conversation, make sure to subscribe to the Learnings and Missteps podcast so you never miss an episode, and you get extra credit if you share it with your friends. Also, if you want even more insights on leadership, personal growth, communication, all those fancy magical things, you can sign up for my newsletter on LinkedIn, because I got a newsletter that goes out every single Monday. All the resources I share there are designed to help you put yourself first so that you can leave this world better than you found it. There's also a digital copy of my book, Becoming the Promise You're Intended to Be. And it's sitting there waiting for you on my website. All you got to do is do the click and do the download, and you get the free PDF. And if you want even more bonus points, share that PDF with somebody you know or the family of somebody you know that is currently struggling with self-destructive behavior. That would be the ultimate gift for me. While you're there, do some exploring of the trainings, workshops, and services that are designed to enhance your performance at home and at work. Just click the link in the show notes to check it out. Thanks again for listening. Take care of yourself, and I'll see you on the next episode. Peace!